Hello friends, let's discuss current affairs. And this is the second session of this week. Here's the first question. As usual, have a book and pen ready. Write as much as you can. One of the following persons was selected for the 2020 Saraswati Samman for his novel Sanatan. Now the answer is already there. Sri Sharan Kumar Limbale. Now, about the award itself, Saraswati Samman, you could write this, Saraswati Samman, highest literary prize, highest literary prize for outstanding prose or poetry, outstanding prose or poetry published in any of the 22 scheduled languages, any of the 22 scheduled languages, that is languages listed in the 8th schedule. Okay? We have 22 scheduled languages, and all these are mentioned in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India. As you know, the Constitution of India has 12 schedules, and schedule is a kind of chapter. Like Schedule 1 has a list of names of 28 states and 7 union territories, 8 union territories. What they do is, they just list the names kind of thing. So, in the case of the 8th schedule, you have the names of 22 official scheduled languages of India. So we have this is the highest award, you could say, in any literature as far as India is concerned. Now Sri Sharan Kumar Limbale was given this prize for Sanatan. It's said to be a work that depicts Dalit struggle, Dalit movement and all. Now it is defined as what we call a historical document on Dalit struggle. Okay, it has been described as a historical document on Dalit struggle. Now, you could also write the name of his autobiography. I'm sorry if I get the pronunciation wrong. It's Akar Mashi or Akar Mashi. I don't know how to pronounce this actually. So that's a little about this. This is for 2020 Saraswati Samman, and if you want to write one more, instituted by KK Birla Foundation. KK Birla Foundation. In the previous session, we looked at another award given by KK Birla Foundation. That is for the best published book in Hindi, and this is for any language, in fact any of the 22 languages. Okay, now from Sharan Kumar Limbale, we look at the 2019 recipient as well, Vasudev Mohi, Sindhi writer, and he was specially chosen for his book Checkbook and Other Stories. You can say checkbook, that's fine. For 2019 recipient Vasudev Mohi for his work Checkbook. Okay. So there, from Saraswati Samman to the next one, please. Which there's an error here. It should be which of the following. Okay. Which of the following nations' armies will take part in the military exercise named Shantir Ograshena? Shantir Ograshena means front runner of peace. Front runner of peace. Bangla. This is Bangla Bhasha. Okay. So the answers, these four, Bangladesh, India and Sri Lanka, because they don't see eye to eye with Pakistan. Sri Lanka doesn't have a great equation with Pakistan because of India, and of course Bangladesh has never had a great equation with Pakistan because till 71 it was a part of Pakistan, and the Pakistani government and military forces had wreaked havoc. They killed thousands, lakhs, millions actually of Bangladeshi, people. So if you want me to tell you a little about any of these countries, which one should I be picking up? We have been discussing these countries, but okay, just to bring in Bhutan here. Bhutan, my friends, is the capital is Thimphu. The capital is Thimphu. Okay, the king is Jigme Namgyel Wangchuk. Namgyel Wangchuk. That's the name of the king. It's a very long name. There's still more. Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuk. But enough. The Prime Minister is Sharing Lote or Lote Sharing. That's a Prime Minister. And the currency, as you would know, is Gultrum. The currency is Gultrum. Okay, guys, from there we could look at, this is specifically important. These four countries have come together to take part in Shanti Rograshena. This 2021 happens to be the 50th year of Bangladesh's liberation. So this is 50th year of Bangladesh's liberation and 100th birth centenary. This is the birth centenary or 100th birth year of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Mujibur Rahman is the father of Bangladesh, my friends. The father of Bangladesh. The first president between 71 and 72, and later became the prime minister between 72 and 75. In 75, he was assassinated. He also happens to be the president, the father of the current prime minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina Wajid. So, 2021 is important for Bangladesh in two ways. One, it's the 50th year of Bangladesh's liberation from Pakistan's clutches, and it's also the birth centenary of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The center has recently declared a public holiday on April 14th this year on account of the 130th birth anniversary of B.R. Ambedkar. I always thought, before I read this question, I always thought that it was a public holiday, but maybe I'm not very sure about this now. I'll have to check this. Okay, B.R. Ambedkar is Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. Bhimrao Ramji was his papa's name, dad's name, father's name. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. It is not Ambedkar, it's Ambedkar actually. I'll tell you how. I was reading this story about Baba Sahib. And I found it very fascinating. It's the kind of suffering he underwent as a Dalit, as someone who came from the untouchable Mahar caste and all that. It makes for heart-rending reading, and it still is resolved to provide equality before law to all citizens of India, and that's a wonderful thing, my friends. Now, let me tell you, where was he born? Baba Saheb was born in a place called Mau. This was a town in Madhya Pradesh, but now it's called Mau. Now is called Ambedkar Nagar. It's called Ambedkar Nagar. Ambedkar Nagar. Ambedkar Nagar. Now, to give you a basic background, normally you don't get to hear this quite often, and newspaper journalists, activists and all, while they may take Baba Saheb's, the great man's name, they may not know much about the great man himself. So maybe as your teacher, today I will tell you a few things about the great man. I would say one of the greatest of Indians in the last century, since independence in fact. So Baba Saheb was born on 14th April, so let's make it 14th April 1891. He was born here in Mau, Madhya Pradesh. Okay, his dad was Ramji is Maloji Sakpal. Okay, and his mother's name was Bhima Bai. Bhima Bai. So he was the son of Sri Ramji Maloji Sakpal and Bhima Bai. Now he was born, his father served in the British Army. He was in a pretty good position. I think Subedar he was. Okay. While in the army, he didn't find, from the British, he didn't find any kind of problems with regard to his caste, which was Mahar, M-A-H-A-R, which in those days was considered an untouchable community. Yeah. His surname was this, remember this. Today we call him Ambedkar, but his surname was Sakpal. Actually, he was born as Sakpal, but then, this family came from a village called Ambadve in, I think, Ratnagiri district of Maharashtra. Okay, coastal basically. Ambadve. You can also write this with the A also. No, it's same as Ambadve. Okay, Ambadve. When he was in school, his teacher, who was a Brahman, okay, Brahman, I used to look, when I take the names of the caste and all that, please understand the experiences, the thoughts of the great man were shaped by his experiences, and he was grateful for the presence of a lot of teachers, lot of people around him who might have belonged to a different higher community, but who helped him, in many ways. So he may have been he may have looked at caste as an anomaly, in the sense that he might have not liked the fact that he was, the untouchable communities were singled out. He was looked at treating everyone equally, and that's why Article 14, the first fundamental right, is right to equality. Yeah, that comes between Articles 14 and 18. So we need to look at that. Article 17 is about untouchability, abolition of untouchability. So a lot of our thoughts, your thoughts, my thoughts, have been shaped by our experiences. So, he's a Brahman school teacher, wrote his name, in the school basically. They changed the name to Ambedkar. Okay. Ambedkar. Now, thing is, Kar means a person who comes from the village of Ambedve. Okay, Ambedve. So he came from this place. Now, later it was shortened to Ambedkar. It became Ambedkar, and of course, he went on to study. He was the first person from his community to go to college, to go for higher secondary school, then to college, and then of course he was sponsored by the Maharaja of Baroda, Sri Shayaji, I think Shayaji Gaikwad, to study abroad. He earned 2 PhDs. He earned an MA, he earned a BA, and he earned 2 PhDs. Remember, Baba Saheb earned 2 PhDs, one from the great Columbia University in New York City. And the second was from I think he earned the second one at London. Yeah, was it one of these places, London School of Economics, somewhere basically he earned. Okay, so 2 PhDs he earned, and not an ordinary guy. I mean, he was everything. He was all rolled into one. Okay, so learn a little that Ambedkar was not his surname. It was, it was an adoption later, but born Sakpal, that was his surname. Read about his story, read his works, you will know a lot of good things. You will know a lot of good things about the great man. So, of course, he passed away quite young. He passed away on the 6th of December. I'll just write this as well. Baba Saheb passed on the 6th of December 1956. See, his first marriage was to a person named Ramabai, who was 9 years old, and Baba Saheb was 15 years old. In those days, this was common. So, 15-year-old Baba Saheb, Bhimrao, his name was Bhimrao. 15-year-old Bhimrao married 9-year-old Ramabai. And later, I think a couple of years later, Ramabai died, and Baba Saheb married Savitri Bai. Savitri Kabir was her name. Savitri Kabir. Anyway, and Savitri Kabir, if I am not wrong, came from an upper community, from an upper caste. So when I discuss these words, I use these words like caste and everything, they are integral to our discussion about Baba Saheb. He has defined this narrative in our country, and he has defined it in the right way actually, though people have interpreted to their advantage in the wrong way. But that's how people are, isn't it? So, but we are students of learning. We may have our prejudices, our bias, but our job is to learn the right thing. Okay? It's our job. See, I am your teacher, Bharat C. Jain, but I will not cloud my judgment upon what someone else says. What I do is I'll try to find out. This is what I do. I read a lot. So it's good to read. Before this session, I was reading this book. This book is on, what is this book called? Astrophysics. I'm teaching you very different stuff. This is a book on astrophysics for people in a hurry. Okay, for people in a hurry. So we are not science students. I'm not a science guy. But I'm reading astrophysics. Why? Fun, learning. Our job is to learn. Yes, guys, please read, my dear. You have a long life ahead, a long career. So push yourself very hard. I always tell you that you spend 10 to 15 minutes on a topic of your choice. 15 minutes. Take 15 minutes. Tell yourself that I may not understand everything. 2, I may not remember everything. That's okay. Start to read. Some parts you understood, some parts you didn't understand. No problem. Get on with life. At the end of 15 minutes, you will find that you might not have understood everything. You might not remember everything. Yet, you would have got some basic idea. Yes? That's how you learn. There are a lot I could have talked about Ambedkarji, but there's not enough time for us. So I told you a little about his, initial years, and importantly, how the surname came. Okay, how it was changed from Sakpal to Ambedkar. So please find out more about all these great men. I mean, extraordinary men. You see this, Sardar Patel, of course, the first Home Minister of India and the first, first Commander-in-Chief of India. He was the first Commander-in-Chief, first Deputy Prime Minister of India, first Home Minister of India. The first Commander-in-Chief he was because he was Home Minister of India. Okay. He was born on 31st October. I am just going to give dates only in this, in Patel, Sardarji's case, Sardar Patel's case. 31st October 1875 he was born, and he passed away on 15th December 1950. After he passed away, this post of Commander-in-Chief went to the President of India. Till then, it was the Home Minister who was the Commander-in-Chief. So the only person who was the Commander-in-Chief of India, only Home Minister who was the Commander-in-Chief of India was Sardar Patel. The unifier of modern India. Okay? And you know what? This 31st October is also observed as Rashtriya Ekta Divas. Rashtriya Ekta Divas. Because of his contribution to the unification of India, modern I am talking about, he is given this, his birthday is celebrated as Rashtriya Ekta Divas. Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji was the Prime Minister of India, of course. He was Prime Minister of India between June 1964 and January 1966. 11th January he passed away. He died in Uzbekistan, Soviet Union in those days, in mysterious circumstances, best explained in the film called The Tashkent Files. Okay, watch. He is the second Prime Minister of India. He is the guy who pushed the movement for the White Revolution, Milk Revolution, Green Revolution, and he gave this call for Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. India has been fortunate to have had really good chaps at the very top. One last person I can discuss is Bhagat Singh. No specific date of his birth is available, except that it was in September 1907. In some other time, I will explain as to why he was put to death by the British at a very tender age of about 24, 23 he was. He was put to death on the 23rd of March. I remember this particular number, and along with two other persons. One was Sukhdev Thapar. Sukhdev Thapar. We all saw those three photos of three young men, twirling mustaches and all that. Yes, Bhagat Singh always with the cap. So all these bring back memories, school memories and everything. So the other person was Rajguru Shivram, or Shivram Rajguru. Sukhdev Thapar and Rajguru Shivram. So three of them were hanged till death on the 23rd of March 1931. Subhash Bose, of course, one last person we can bring in is, he was born on the 23rd of January 1870. No. He was not older than. He was born in 1897. Yes. He died pretty young. In fact, no specific date is available, but many historians believe that this is a date, 18th August 1945, the day his plane disappeared. Though not many of his followers believe that this is true. We'll go with this. Okay? And as you know, Subhash Bose was one of the greatest of freedom fighters of our country. And just one more thing here. He was the person who gave the title Father of the Nation to Mahatma Gandhi. So it was Subhash Bose who called Mahatma Gandhi Father of the Nation. He was the first person. Okay? So, let's go from here. Whom of the following film personalities was honored with the 51st Dada Saheb Phalke Award? Oh, we all know this is the great Rajinikanth, extraordinary Rajinikanth. Rajinikanth, we all know, is Tamil superstar and pretty old actually compared to what the way he looks on movie screens and everything. He's very different in real life. And he was born, if I'm not wrong, in 1950, December 12th, 1950. And his first film, you can say 12th December 1950. Just a couple of things I'll tell you about him. Apurva Ragangal. My Tamil speaking friends, please excuse me if I got the pronunciation incorrect, but that's how it is. Okay? And this was in 1975. 1975. He was born in Marathi. When this prize was announced, he acknowledged 3-4 persons. Most importantly, the first person he acknowledged was his bus conductor friend, because he was a bus conductor, his bus conductor friend. He said that my bus conductor friend was the guy who recognized my talent and encouraged me to pursue a career in films and all that. So, he was the first to be, that humility. The greatest moment he acknowledged the contribution of his, years back someone helped him go on a certain path, and he in his most glorious moment, he remembered that person. That shows the gratitude, the humility of the person. So his brother next, and then his film director, mentor K. Balachandar. It's good to be grateful. कृतज्ञ होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. It's very important to be, grateful. So you know all these guys. And by the way, do you know what is the real name of Kamal Hassan? Parthasarathi Hassan. Parthasarathi Hassan, or Hassan you can say. It's Hassan actually. Parthasarathi Hassan. Kamal Hassan. He took the name Kamal for the screen, basically. Parthasarathi Asam. Anyway, that's a little about these guys. Who has been appointed to the chairperson of the Public Enterprises Selection Board? This board has about 3 members, 4 members, 3 members, and one chairperson. What they do is they make recommendations to the President of the Government of India to appoint certain persons as heads of public sector enterprises. And of course, they go through a lot of data, people's resumes, biodatas, their achievements, their entire work life. So recently, in fact, about a week back, Mallika Srinivasan was appointed. And who is this? She is the CMD of Tractors and Farm Equipment Limited. Farm Equipment Limited. Farm Equipment Limited. It is typically called TAFE. Remember this? If you find someone somewhere that there is a company called TAFE, this is the same company. Tractors Farm Equipment Limited. Tractors and Farm Equipment Limited. Radhika Ghai Agarwal is co-founder of a top-class company called ShopClues. This is an e-commerce company, ShopClues. This has been co-founded by Sanjay Sethi. This is not a company that many people have heard of actually, okay? But it's a $1 billion company, Sandeep Agarwal. So 3 persons co-founded ShopClues: Radhika Ghai Agarwal or Radhika Agarwal, Sandeep Agarwal, Sanjay Sethi, 3 of them. Okay. Indra Nooyi is the ex-CEO of PepsiCo and the current director on the board of, what is this company? Plenty of companies, but most importantly, she is on the board of Amazon, and most importantly, she is on the board of the International Cricket Council. Yeah, you heard it right. International Cricket Council. Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, CMD of Biocon. Salil Parekh is the CEO of Infosys. You got all. Cool. Who won the men's title at the 2021 Professional Squash Association Challenger Tour Tournament? It was Todd Harity of the US, and this was held in Chennai. This was a winner, and this was a runner-up. Okay, men's singles. Runner-up was an Indian, Mahesh Mangaonkar. Let's look at the women's. Okay, women's winner. There is this person from both. In fact, the runner-up and both were from Egypt. Hannah, if I'm not wrong, Moataz. Yeah, Hannah Moataz. That's an Egyptian squash player. Okay, and the runner-up was her compatriot means from the same country, Malak Kamal. Both from Egypt. So the winner Moataz, and the runner-up Kamal both come from the same country, Egypt. Okay, there we go. With which nation has Japan recently signed an agreement allowing the transfer of its military equipment and technology? Indonesia. Map, just to make you familiar. You see this color here? This is all Indonesia. I would want you to write about Indonesia. Just write a little about Indonesia. Indonesia, world's largest archipelago. in brackets group of islands. If you do not know what's an archipelago, just write group of islands. Okay, words not just archipelago dash 17,000 islands. With that, it has more than 17,000 islands. Okay, next. World's fourth most populous overall dash 26.6 crore population. Next, most populous Muslim nation. Most populous Muslim nation. Okay. Next, capital Jakarta. This is Jakarta, you see here. This is sinking, so they are looking at moving the capital to this island, Borneo. So capital is Jakarta. I'll write here. President Joko Widodo. Joko Widodo is the president. The currency is rupiah. The currency is rupiah. People often talk about, Indians go to the, Indonesia and they say we went to Bali for a holiday. This is Bali. Okay, you see this Bali? Yeah. Okay. Now, why did Japan sign the agreement with Indonesia? See, this is Japan. This is where Japan starts. These islands also belong to Japan. This one. Now, Japan and Indonesia have a common enemy. What's the common enemy? China. In fact, countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, all these have the same common enemy, China. China claims this entire water body as its own. And if it claims all these, it means that all the resources or everything its own basically. But China is able to get away with all this bad behavior despite, legal problems, legal obstacles, because not many countries are coming together to pose a threat to China. That's a major problem, my friends. So Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia. I'll bring to you Laos. See, this is Laos. It's a landlocked country. You see this here. This is Laos. Okay. This is one of the poorest countries. In fact, it's the poorest country in this part of the world, in that area. Laos, the capital is Vientiane. See, always underline keywords like this. Capital is Vientiane. Single party communist state like Vietnam and China. These three are single party communist states. Okay. Vientiane is and Burhanang Vorachit is president of this country. Burhanang Vorachit. The currency is KIP. Yeah, KIP. Could be learning about see, under China's pressure, Laos is building a high-speed rail network, and this in a country that is desperately poor. The cost of the project, high-speed project, is at least 40% of Laos's GDP. Okay, the revenue, annual revenue. So it's very expensive, but China is putting a lot of pressure. So from there, one last country, Cambodia. It's called Cambodia. We can say Cambodia. It's said to name. This is Cambodia. It's said to come from the name. Is said to come from the name of the Brahmin prince Kamboja. The capital is here. It is Phnom Penh. It's there, no? It's a constitutional monarchy. There is a Raja here, but Raja is paper tiger, and the Prime Minister is Hun Sen. Hun Sen. The currency is real. I think I told you a story of Cambodia, what happened here in 1975 till about 79, how one group called ultra leftist, radical leftist, Maoist group like our Naxals called the Khmer Rouge killed, lower estimate 40 lakh people in 4 years. And I will tell you something more. This country is home to Angkor Wat. You write this. Angkor Wat, point 1. Largest Hindu temple complex outside India. Largest Hindu temple complex outside India. I have written in short. Largest Hindu temple complex outside India. Number 2. Built by Suryavarman the second between AD, I always loved history, AD 1115 to 1145. Underline Suryavarman's name, just write Khmer dynasty. And one more point, dedicated to Bhagwan Vishnu. Dedicated to Bhagwan Vishnu. See, you spend 3-4 extra minutes, you end up learning a lot of good things. If I had to tell you just like, okay, that's a capital, that's the answer, it's over. But you on your own can do this. Take a little time, spend some time and learn. It's fun. Any other country? Malaysia, Thailand, I think we discussed in the past. But just to bring in a little about Malaysia, remember Malaysia, Thailand we discussed in the previous session, I think. This is Malaysia. You see this part in green here, this. And I think in the previous session I told you about this island called Borneo. Yeah, this island called Borneo. The southern part is Indonesia, the northern part is Malaysia. Within the northern part there is this place called Bandar Seri Begawan, which is the capital of Brunei, the Kingdom of Brunei. Some other time, okay, maybe I'll just bring you both. Malaysia, that part of Asia where the tribe of Malays live, ethnic group. Malay is an ethnic group, okay, that lives here. Malaysia, capital is Kuala Lumpur. There are two capitals, and Putrajaya. It's a constitutional monarchy. They have a king here, but their system is slightly different. That they have a king, who's elected from one among 9 kingdoms. There are about 9 rajas here, 9 or 7 rajas, and they take turns to elect one among themselves as the king. In fact, sometimes it's a rotating monarchy. 5 years you, 5 years next, that like that. So it's a rotating monarchy. It's the world's only rotating monarchy. Malaysia comprises small kingdoms. With these kingdoms have a council, and the rajas elect one among them as the emperor, as the king of Malaysia, Sultan of Malaysia. The current prime minister is Muhyiddin Yassin. And the currency is ringgit. Okay, I'll just tell you about Brunei, just one part of Brunei. Brunei is a kingdom, okay, Its capital, as you can see, is Bandar Seri Begawan. I'll write it here anyway. Bandar means port. Bandar Seri Begawan. And the king's name is, Sultan's name is, don't write this, I'm just writing it for fun. Okay. Muda Hasan al Wadullah Bolkiah. If you want to write, you can write, no harm. Muda Hasan al Wadullah Bolkiah. That's it. Chaliye, chalte hain. The virtual meeting of the foreign ministers BIMSTEC group, recently defined as a major connectivity master plan for the Bay of Bengal region. In this context, which country is not a part of this grouping? So, you see, this is Bay of Bengal, and some countries here have come together to form this BIMSTEC thing. So the answer is China is not a part of the BIMSTEC. So you could write BIMSTEC. BIMSTEC. First point, full form. Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal. You can write it here. Bay of Bengal. Initiative for multi-sectoral. Bay of Bengal Initiative for multi-sectoral, technical and economic cooperation. Multi-sectoral, technical and economic cooperation. Next. Set up in 1997. Set up in 1997. Set up in 1997. Secretariat at Dhaka. Secretariat at Dhaka. Secretary General Tenzin Lekfal of Bhutan. Tenzin Lekfal of Bhutan. Hurry, we didn't take the names of the members. Last point. 7 members. 7 members. 7 members. Okay, you write the names of the 4 members here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You write these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next. Bhutan, because the secretary is from Bhutan. Bhutan, next, Bhutan, 5, Bhutan, 6, Thailand, 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 and 7, Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka. So we got India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar. We wrote the 5th name of Bhutan, yeah, Bhutan in the 5th place. 6 we wrote Thailand, Myanmar's neighbor, and 7th India's neighbor, Sri Lanka. So 7 members. Cool, guys. Which of the following banks recently tied up with global e-commerce major Amazon and cards major Visa to launch a retail payments entity? Both ICICI Bank and Axis Bank have merged hands with these 2 companies. So you please write ICICI Bank, Sandeep Bakshi. I'll tell you about all involved here. Sandeep Bakshi. Axis Bank, Amitabh. Okay, let me write this in caps. Amitabh Chaudhary. The spelling of Chaudhary is different in different places. You may find without U also. It's okay. HDFC Bank, Sashidhar Jagdishan or Sashi Jagdishan. Now, Amazon. Amazon's chairperson is Jeff Bezos, founder chairperson Jeff Bezos, CEO, current CEO, not current CEO, the CEO who will, he will take charge, I think, in September this year. His name is Andy Jassy or Andrew Jassy. Andrew Jassy. Andrew Jassy will be the next CEO of Amazon. You know how big is Amazon? Its sales last year were $381 billion. That would be, ladies and gentlemen, 15 times more than the turnover of companies like TCS. You understand that? If not 15, at least 14 times. More than 14 times, 15 times. That's a lot of money, isn't it? Yes. So, if not, so forget about the comparison. Look at the sales. And what does Amazon do? You know that it's an e-commerce company. It's e-commerce. It's digital streaming company, or what we call digital services company, digital streaming company. It is the largest provider of cloud computing services, and artificial intelligence. Next. Oh, Visa is there. Visa is, is a card service provider. It's headquartered in a place called Foster City. See, this is an American company, the world's biggest card service provider. Though there is a company in China, but it's almost 99% of Chinese, the Chinese companies, customers are in China. Whereas this Visa company's CEOs, customers are based everywhere in the world. Like your teacher is one customer, you could be another customer like that. Okay, Foster City in California. Yeah, Foster City, California, USA, and its CEO is a guy called Alfred Kelly. Yes, I'm right. I remember it right actually. It's not that I am right, it's that I remember right. Alfred Kelly. It's a $23 billion company, as big as TCS. Yeah. The union government extended the 3 lakh crore emergency credit line guarantee scheme by another 3 months till 30th June 2021. Under this scheme, which are the following new sectors have been included? All 3 have been included: hospitality, travel, tourism. See how big is tourism? Now, many people discount tourism. I can tell you, if you look at India, it contributes to 9% of India's GDP. Can you beat that? In 2019, it generated 50,000 jobs. 50,000 jobs in India. Just India, 50,000 jobs came from tourism, my friends. People walk into Haridwar, people walk into Ajmer, people walk into Puri Jagannath, people walk into Bangalore for tourism. Any place you get, you every time they walk into a place, to visit as a tourist, they create jobs. Huge money, man. 9% of, last year was COVID, people didn't travel. Of course, people like me did travel, but we were far and few. Very few people traveled, and what happened was that it led to a huge shrinkage of jobs. Hotels were closed, restaurants were closed, tourists didn't come, so costs piled up. People were fired, and they lost jobs, And this is how. Look at, air travel industry, buses, mini buses, transport, autos, goda buggies, horse carriages. You look at, I would say, airline industries. I mean, everyone suffered a big deal, my friends. If you look at just India, it was 9%. Okay, 9% of India's GDP comes from tourism. Just tourism alone. Forget travel and hospitality. Now you look at something on the world over. The world over, tourism is was a $22 billion industry in 2019. Can you beat that? $22 billion industry. 2020, nothing worked. It is believed that about 50 million jobs, 5 crore jobs were lost around the world. 5 crore people lost jobs because of no movement in tourism, because of tourist stoppage. So now the government of India, to push people to move and of course to give incentive to these sectors, they have given certain emergency funds, which is very important, my friends. This can create millions of jobs. You look at a state like Rajasthan. Rajasthan is India's biggest draw of tourists. Kerala, and both are suffering big time because of COVID. No tourists are coming, so ordinary people are suffering. Let's go from here to the other one. India has been ranked dash in the World Economic Forum's Gender Global Gap Report 2021. The World Economic Forum was started in 1971 by a person named Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab, with the headquarters in a place called Colony, which is in Switzerland. Okay, Klaus Schwab, Switzerland. Okay, every year it comes out with this global gender gap report. So the points indicate here 0 to 900. The scale is 0 to 100. Okay. So if the country scores 80%, it means that they bridge the gap, by 80%. So there is another 20% left for equality between men and women in different spheres. So on what basis is this report made? You could write, this is very important. They may just ask you which of the following is not a parameter for the global gender gap report. So you could write 1. Okay, 4 parameters. Underline that. 1. Political empowerment. All right. Political empowerment. But this is pretty bad in a lot of, most of the world. Health. Second one, health. Health and survival. Health and survival. Third one, education and attainment. Education and attainment. Fourth one, economic participation. Economic participation and opportunity. Economic participation and opportunity. So these are 4 parameters: political empowerment, health and survival, education and attainment, economic participation and opportunity. How much time will it take for countries to bridge the gaps? Below that, you write, it would take an average, it would take 136.5 years, 136.5 years to bridge the gender gap, to bridge the gender gap. To bridge the gender gap. stop. Next, top three. Let's clear this. Top three. One, Iceland. You must have heard of this country. Iceland. See, 89.2% means that the parity is almost there. Okay, just 1/10 remains to be bridged. The gap remains to be bridged. Okay, number two, Finland. 86.2. Norway. 84.9. These are top three. What do you want top four? What if there are 4-5 choices? This is something that always bothers me. I have given only top three. What if they ask in the top four? New Zealand. 84. Sweden. 82.3. They are doing great. Next, bottom. (156) in brackets last. So they surveyed 156 countries. Afghanistan. I'm not going to give the index. Actually, Afghanistan is 44%. So you can understand, they're all, so 155, right? 155. Yemen, Y-E-M-E-N, Y-E-M-E-N, Yemen. So 155 is Yemen. 154, Iraq, I-R-A-Q, Iraq. 155. So we mentioned Yemen 155, Iraq 154, 153, Pakistan. 152, Syria, S-Y-R-I-A, Syria. So countries with the worst gender gap in the world. So what's India's rank? 140. India's rank is 140. Okay, good stuff to learn. See, given the women empowerment issue as a political participation issue, there are about 35,000 fined. I have read the report. I have gone through the report, and it says that there are 35,500 parliamentary seats around the world. Okay, 35,500, of which about 26% are held by women. 26%, just 26%, and this is on the higher side because this is an average. See, a lot of countries have Scandinavian countries like Iceland and all this. Not Scandinavian countries like Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, 4 Scandinavian countries. These countries have a higher proportion of women in the parliament. So while at the bottom, like Afghanistan and Pakistan, they almost have next to nothing, Yemen and all. So the average goes up because of a large number of countries having higher numbers. Okay, but still it is pretty bad everywhere in the world. So just about 26% of about 35,000 parliamentary seats are held by women, and it is believed that it would take 145 years to bridge that gap. at the current pace. According to ACI Worldwide and Global Data, which country reached the top spot in terms of digital payments with 25.5 billion real-time payment transactions? Well, we are global leaders in digital payments, my friends. Global leaders, yeah. That's not something ordinary, my friends. We are global leaders. And you know what? India had 25.5 billion digital transactions. China came in second with 15.7. Very big gap, isn't it? Huge gap basically. And you know, in India, in America, I think the average number of the average adult has about 18 credit cards. Average, okay. Average family of 4 would have 18 credit cards. In India, an average adult, I will give you 2 startling facts from this report, because see, whenever there is a question like this, I go through the report. I don't simply look at the answer and come back. I strongly believe in reading the reports for my own knowledge, of course. I can't give you everything that I read, but a few things. So you could write one particular thing. 1.13 dash number of debit, credit and charge cards per adult in India. That's still very low. We have a long way to go. So next, second point, 84% of adults have a mobile wallet and used it in the last 1 year. Used it in the last 1 year. It's good to use digital stuff. See, while India had 25.5 billion real-time payment transactions, okay, and China had about 15.7. Global number, if you want to write this, you could write global number. Global 70.3 billion real-time payment transactions, real-time digital payment transactions. 70.3 billion digital payment transactions. Yes. Slovak President Zuzana Kaputova recently appointed Edvard Heger as the new Prime Minister, ending a month-long political crisis in the country. The capital of Slovakia is Bratislava. We'll just look at the capitals. I think too much of stuff otherwise. Latvia, the capital is Riga, so Latvia. Ljubljana, it is Slovenia. Yerevan, Armenia. Vienna, Austria. Some of the time, see, it really shouldn't take us much time to look at the Prime Minister and everything, but it will take a lot of trouble for you to write. We'll take this, like for example, Latvia's Prime Minister is Krišjānis Kariņš. Austria, Sebastian Kurz. Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan. You see, it's not difficult to remember if you make an effort. I don't want to overload you with information. We have already taken a lot of notes in this session. Here, this is Slovenia. This is Slovenia. You see here, this one. This is Latvia. You see Riga here. What are the countries? Slovakia. This is Slovakia. Czech Republic here. They were together one country for a long time. To improve the financial health of public sector banks, the centre has recently infused a fresh capital of about 14,500 crore. In this context, which of the following banks received this capital? All four of them received the capital. All four of them. Who are the heads of these organizations? Mattam, CBI, Mattam Venkata Rao. Mattam Venkata Rao. Okay. UCO Banker, Atul Goyal, Atul Kumar Goyal or Atul Goyal. Atul Goyal. Bank of India, Atanu Kumar Das. Indian Overseas Bank, Partha Pratim Sengupta. Pratim Sengupta. Okay, these are the heads of this bank. So, I mean, banks are struggling because of the COVID impact and everything. Losses are piled up, NPAs are piled up, and they are dipping into the reserves and everything, and that's not a good sign, my friends. That's not a good sign. They're becoming weaker by the day. So the government of India is pumping in a lot of capital. Here's the next one. The book titled Agriculture in India, Contemporary Challenges is authored by Mohan Kanda. So I'm not going to go deeper into this. P. Sainath I can mention. P. Sainath, I have a book by him. It's a terrific book. Everybody loves a good drought. How money lenders squeeze, farmers, especially the small farmers, out of their lands when they borrow money, when there is a akal. Drought means karu, akal, famine. So, I mean, this is a book that talks about how desperately poor the Indian farmer is. And no stories, no big data. It's just that he tells us stories, small stories. But there is a small worker in Jharkhand who cycles 40 kilometers every day to sell coal on behalf of a contractor. His cycle has 250 kgs of coal. He goes around villages 40 kilometers to earn how much? 10 rupees. 10 rupees. This is the book I bought in 1997. When I came to this city in 97 from my small town, I bought this book, and I can tell you it has had a huge influence on me. Everybody loves a good drought. Which Indian fintech company announced launch of its new lending product distributed to retail finance, focusing on empowering small and medium enterprises? Okay guys, BharatPe. I'll just tell you the names of the founders of some of these companies, because these are Indian companies and world-class companies. Okay, they have built world-class products. BharatPe, Bhavik Kalodia. I would suggest you write this because it's good to know about people who are pretty much like us, but they have worked extremely hard to get where they are, to build products that are changing the world. Okay, Shashwat Nakrani. There is one more guy here, BharatPe. Yeah, he is the CEO. Co-founder and CEO Avnish. See, it is very important to know about this. You see, become familiar. The idea is to become familiar. Who are these guys? pretty much product of our education system, but they thought differently, they moved into different things, and they learned a lot of good things along the way, and that's how they become what they become. They're building products that are shaping our basic daily life, my friends. Amnish Grover, Bhavi Kalodia, Shashwat Nakrani started Bharat Pay. Okay, Phone Pay today is owned by Flipkart. It was acquired by Flipkart. It was started by Sameer Nigam and Rahul Chari. Sometimes you may find me looking here and there. I try to recall that, it's like that. Rahul Chari. I'm looking at 4 walls, otherwise 3 walls actually. Sameer Nigam, Rahul Chari co-founded Phone Pay. If you want to know about Razor Pay, चलो एक और लिखते हैं Razor Pay. Harshil Mathur, please write Harshil Mathur and Shashank Kumar. Harshil Mathur and Shashank Kumar. Okay. So, Paytm you would know Vijay Shekhar Sharma. GPay is a Google company. Okay. New bacteria found in the International Space Station was recently named after the Indian scientist Ajmal Khan, a professor of biodiversity at Annamalai University. So, what does this bacteria do and what is its name? You can write. New bacteria on the ISS is called Methylobacterium. I was fascinated when I read this. Ajmalai. I'm writing in a small case here so that it doesn't become very confusing. Methylobacterium ajmalai. Okay. May help astronauts grow vegetables in space. Amazing, no? I'll just talk about one person, the great, about the great Abdul Kalam. You must have heard of all of them actually, isn't it? But who do I discuss? Meghnad Saha. Okay, you could write this. Saha proposed Saha ionization equation. Saha ionization equation dash used to describe chemical and physical conditions in stars. Chemical and physical conditions in stars. Okay. So Hargobind Khorana won the 1968 Nobel Prize of Medicine along with 2 others, Robert Hawley and there was a guy called Marshall Nirenberg, for their work on nucleic acids. Okay, and Jagdish Chandra Bose was considered the father of Bengali science fiction. Is also the father of the crescograph. Heard of this? Crescograph. father of the crystallograph, and this is the device used to measure the growth of plants. He came up with this amazing work people have done. So crystallograph measures the growth of a plant, okay, and because of his writings, everything, he's called the father of Bengali science fiction. The Ministry of Jal Shakti recently deployed sensor-based IoT devices to monitor the implementation of Jal Jeevan mission in rural areas. IoT stands for, well, we all know this, Internet of Things. IoT stands for Internet of Things. It's basically, devices like this. For example, devices, if there is in the AC, there is a device that would make it, that would connect it to my phone or some other thing. Now it connects it to the remote, but if it connects to the phone and everything, it would have sensors. It should have a sensor to be able to connect the here. So what would happen is, okay, why don't you write? I'll tell you what is it now. It's rather than explain, I'll tell you. You can take it home, right? Network, Internet of Things dash network of physical objects, network of physical objects that are embedded with sensors, SENSORS. Oh, it's mentioned, sensor is there in the first line. Sensors, comma, software and other technologies for purpose of connecting and exchanging data, with other devices over the internet. That's it. They all used internet to be able to connect devices. That's it. It's all Wi-Fi based, wireless fidelity system based. Okay. Oh, it's been a very long session, so we'll just rush a bit here. Which of the following options about credit risk management by banks in India are true? Measurement of risk, I think we discussed this in the recent past. It's come again, never mind. Measurement of risk through credit rating, yes, we'll look at basically on what basis, banks look at on what basis should they lend, are you credit worthy or not. So the credit rating tells them. Quantifying the risk through estimating expected loss. Risk pricing on scientific basis, yes, that's risk pricing is interest payment, how much interest is charged, what interest is charged. Controlling the risk through effective loan review mechanisms and portfolio management, all of the above. I think we discussed this exhaustively in the previous session. So liquidity for a banker means what? Cash in hand, cash, deposit balances and everything, and any small assets, government bonds, gold, anything that can be converted into cash at short notice. So 1, 2, 3. Simple question. In which of the following institutions has the Reserve Bank of India recently sold its entire stake? NHB and NABARD. NHB's chairman is Sharda Kumar Hota. NABARD, as you know, is Chintala Govindarajulu. DICGC is a part of the RBI, typically. DICGC stands for Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation of India. DICGC. Which of the following categories of assets is not a non-performing asset? Standard asset. I'll explain this on the Wednesday class in great detail. Please, let's take NPS in the next session. Okay, because I'm told that we should not try and exceed 1.5 hours, because you already have 3 4 classes. You have other classes as well. I don't want to exceed into that, but I'm going to discuss NPS in the next session. Okay, friends, cool, do not worry, I'll bring this question right as it is in the next session. So Mondale has recently taken over as chairman of SAIL. Okay, SAIL and Bharat Dynamics Limited in Hyderabad. Siddharth Mishra. Siddharth Mishra. Okay. National Thermal Power Corporation. Gurdeep Singh. Gurdeep Singh. Coal India Limited. Pramod Agarwal. Pramod Agarwal. Oil and Natural Corporation, Gas Corporation had a CEO, Sashi Shankar. He retired on 31st of March 2021. The government didn't appoint a full-time chairperson, but instead gave additional charge to an existing executive director. His name is Subhash Kumar. Subhash Kumar. You can say interim chairman. Interim chairman. In major achievement, India's giant meter wave radio telescope detected and tracked the landing of a European Space Agency spacecraft on Mars. In which place is GMR located? It's in Pune. It's in Pune. In the previous session, we discussed this. Bhopal has master control facility of ISRO. Okay, I think there's hardly anything to discuss here. Hyderabad is home to National Geophysical Research Agency. Oh, I'll make it easy for you. Why? ICRISAT. This is a more important body for you. ICRISAT is International Crop, CROP, Crop Research Institute. International Crop Research Institute for semi-arid tropics. International Crop Research Institute for semi-arid tropics. Okay. Which country has graduated from least developed countries to medium developed countries? It is Vanuatu. This is Vanuatu. We'll just take the capitals of these places. Okay, this is Vanuatu. It's a very small country, not very small. It's about what, 12,000 square kilometer? Yeah, 12,000 square kilometers, quite big, isn't it? In this part of the world. So, for example, Nauru is, if I'm not wrong, 21. Tuvalu is 26 square kilometers. They are very small places, but Vanuatu is quite big. Okay, I'll not take you here. And Senegal, it's an African country. Capital is Dakar. It's, don't write. Okay, chalo, I mentioned it, so I somewhere. Macky Sall is the president. Macky Sall. Togo's capital is Lomé, and the president is Faure Gnassingbé. Don't write. Nepal, you know this, Kathmandu. You already know this, so I will not. Burkina Faso. I will spell it slowly, write slowly. The word is very confusing. Uga. One word. Ouagadougou. Ouagadougou. That's the right spelling. Ouagadougou. Ouagadougou. Yeah, and the president, there is a guy called, Roche Christian. Don't worry too much about it. That should be fine. Enough. Yeah, Vanuatu's capital, Port Vila. Vanuatu, what is it? Port Vila. This is the choice. 1 or 2. That's our answer. 1 or 2. Port Vila. Okay. That was it. I know I rushed through one particular question on NPS. I remember that. I'll bring that back in the next session. Thanks for being here. You've been very patient. Stay curious.